Thomas Becker hit Omaha Beach, already losing the fight. Mines hidden under shifting sand had torn apart a third of the first wave, and every step felt like walking inside a calculation designed to kill. As the tide surged higher, even the laws of physics seemed to turn against him. Command estimated more than 1,200 mines across the sector, buried 15 to 40 centimeters deep. Becker felt the sand shudder with each detonation, every tremor reminding him the beach held enough explosive force to stop an entire army cold. He ducked behind a steel obstacle, lungs burning as shrapnel ripped through the surf. Salt stung his eyes. Fear tightened his stomach. His world shrank to the unstable ground beneath him, each grain whispering that survival was slipping away. Later analysis revealed why detectors collapsed instantly. Omaha's sand held almost 40% shell fragments, flooding M1 coils with false alarms every few seconds. The system failed under conditions no training manual had ever imagined. Becker saw a soldier vanish in a blast only meters away. His breath caught. Instinct froze him in place. He forced himself forward, repeating the line his instructor drilled into him. Panic kills faster than steel. Intelligence summaries would confirm what Becker felt under his boots. German engineers had tripled mine density after April 1944, laying them to exploit tidal flow and mask pressure caps beneath moving water. The beach wasn't just dangerous, it was actively hostile. A dented metal bucket drifted against a timber obstacle. Becker stared, confused by its insignificance. Then a childhood memory surfaced, his father showing him how water revealed hollows in soil. A quiet flash of insight in a world lit by fire. Declassified engineering files later validated the thought. Any buried object created subtle depressions detectable with controlled water flow, and Omaha's porous sand allowed those dips to reveal themselves in seconds. Becker scooped seawater, hands shaking. He poured a thin line over suspicious sand. The ripple dipped unnaturally. Settling faster over one patch, his pulse surged. A hollow. On this beach, a hollow meant a mine capable of killing 20 men. An engineer yelled that he was wasting time. A major had already issued a memo forbidding improvisation under fire. Becker ignored them, poured again, and exposed a teller mine buried dangerously shallow. He marked it with torn webbing. Another dip appeared 2 meters away. Then a third. Becker felt the battlefield shift as patterns emerged beneath the chaos. For the first time since landing, he wasn't reacting. He was reading the beach like a coded map. A burst from an MG-42 shredded the surf, forcing him flat. He shielded the bucket with his arm. His lieutenant ordered him to fall back, citing command refusal to approve unsanctioned methods. But Becker couldn't unlearn the truth. The bucket worked. The manual didn't. Field records later showed he found 14 mines in 6 minutes. Standard detectors needed 3 minutes for one. His technique boosted clearance efficiency nearly 400%. Yet officers hesitated, fearing blame more than destruction. Becker advanced again, guiding water in slow arcs. A broad depression appeared, draining with unnatural speed. Engineers dug and uncovered a clustered anti-landing charge wired for sequential detonation, enough force to shred everything within 15 meters. Behind him, a trapped platoon watched Becker carve a narrow corridor through the minefield. For a moment, the impossible loosened its grip. Their silent hope pressed against his back like weight. If he misread even once, the beach would reclaim them all. Becker crawled forward, water sloshing inside the bucket. His fingers skimmed the sand for the tiniest shifts. Each dip sharpened his focus. Behind him, men waited suspended between ocean and explosives, while time tightened with every rising wave. Command logs from 0730 recorded paralysis across 900 meters of shoreline. Half the engineers were down. Detectors were useless under mineral interference. Analysts warned casualty ratios could reach 60%, the same nightmare that crushed Dieppe. Captain Harland, rigid and furious, stormed toward Becker. He barked that the method was unauthorized and unsafe. Becker faltered as Harland waved a memo, insisting no improvised technique be used without command validation, even as the beach bled time. Technical archives later revealed why Harland resisted. Detector coils depended on uniform soil conductivity. But German teams buried mines at inconsistent depths, from 12 to 50 centimeters. The chaos broke calibration, but fed Becker's hydrodynamic trick. Becker demonstrated again. Water dipped, sagging over a shallow depression. Engineers dug and uncovered an S mine, its prongs ready to launch steel balls in every direction. Harland froze, memo trembling. The bucket had found what instruments couldn't. Inland observers reported artillery timetables collapsing. Every 30 minutes of delay pushed casualty projections up by 20%. Becker didn't know the numbers, but he felt the urgency pounding through his heartbeat. Time itself had become the enemy. A mortar slammed behind him, spraying wet sand across his back. The bucket slipped into the surf. Becker lunged, scraping his palms as he grabbed the handle. If he lost it, the only working clearance method on Omaha would vanish in an instant. Meteorological reports later revealed a hidden threat. The tidal rise had been underestimated by 20%, pushing nearly 50 meters farther than forecast. Within minutes, the ocean would swallow every depression Becker had exposed, erasing the path entirely. He resumed pouring despite Harland's shouts. Soldiers filed behind him, each step a calculated gamble. 90 kilograms of pressure could trigger a teller mine. Becker felt their lives balanced on the tiny ripples forming beneath his trembling hands. Above them, a German NCO watched through binoculars. He wrote that Americans were walking a crooked line no minefield should allow. He didn't know the pattern came from a 19-year-old who had turned water flow into a survival algorithm. Becker tested a patch where the water vanished unnaturally fast. Engineers uncovered a wooden crate of 4 linked charges, enough explosive force to kill 20 men. Harland's expression cracked. The bucket wasn't guesswork. It was pure physics. A sergeant urged him to stop, warning of the tide and snipers. Becker hesitated. His chest tightened. Doubt surged about the idea, the technique, even his memory of his father's voice. Panic threatened to undo everything he'd built. At 08:15, field logs recorded a turning point. Becker's corridor stretched over 100 meters, nearly 2 meters wide. It became the first viable passage in the central sector, allowing 3 companies to advance without a single mine casualty. Engineers began using helmets and canteens to copy his method. Becker corrected their poor speed and angle, knowing each second changed the reading. This wasn't improvisation anymore. It was doctrine being born under fire. A 40-ton Sherman tank approached the corridor. Becker held his breath. One misread depression would detonate 2 kilos of TNT beneath its tracks. The tank rolled forward, past the first dip, then the next, and continued inland unharmed. Aboard the U.S. Ancon, command staff logged the moment the Sherman crossed. At 08:32, an armored route finally existed on Omaha. Officers demanded the identity of the unconventional method, unaware the breakthrough began with a dented bucket in a teenager's grip. Becker pushed onward, arms shaking. His focus narrowed to water flow, settling patterns, and the faint drag of disturbed sand. Gunfire thundered around him. Yet each ripple felt like a coded message steering him through the killing ground. Intelligence reviews soon revealed a new complication. Some mines had been buried inverted, reducing their magnetic signature by 60%. Standard coils had no chance of detecting them. Becker's hydrodynamic method exposed them instantly, rewriting expectations under fire. Harland confronted him again, insisting High Command needed proof before authorizing wider use. Becker blinked through salt and exhaustion, 19 years old, kneeling in seawater. Yet officers demanded a formal demonstration inside a live minefield. Inland, the 16th Infantry struggled to breach the first trench line. They needed reinforcements. Every delay lifted casualty projections. Becker's corridor became the artery feeding the assault, allowing nearly 300 men to push forward untouched. A runner arrived breathless. The tide would submerge the field in 15 minutes. Becker felt time clamp down like a vice. If he didn't finish now, every exposed mine would vanish beneath water, reducing progress to blind, lethal guesswork. He accelerated, pouring precise lines as engineers dug beside him. Waves crept closer, erasing the edges of his markings. Control began slipping as the ocean consumed his work. Harland watched, sensing the method collapsing under nature's weight. A captured German manual later clarified the twisted logic. Their doctrine encouraged irregular placement to overwhelm engineer reasoning. Randomness was their weapon. Yet Becker's technique flipped that chaos, turning unpredictability into a readable map of danger. With water up to his elbows, Becker identified 2 final dips. The bucket almost slipped from his numb hands. He steadied it, refusing to surrender. One missed depression could trigger a chain blast capable of killing everyone behind him. Harland grabbed his shoulder, trying to pull him back. Becker froze, vision tunneling. Doubt clawed at him, until he spotted a faint ripple he knew by heart, a subtle sink that matched every deadly patch he'd found since dawn. He continued. Engineers uncovered the last devices. Teller mines wired with pressure caps needing only 90 kilograms to ignite. Becker watched them disabled, chest tight. Relief mixed with the realization of how narrowly disaster had stalked every step. At 0905, command logs marked a decisive breakthrough. With the minefield breached, inland strongpoints began to fall. Casualty projections dropped by 40%. Becker's hydrodynamic method had reshaped the mathematical fate of Omaha in under an hour. Senior officers arrived demanding a formal test. Harland hovered beside them, arms crossed, prepared to dismiss the teenager's idea. Under enemy fire, Becker repeated the technique across a controlled patch. Observers timed runoff as engineers dug. Every depression matched a live mine. The results left no room for doubt. 5 devices identified in 2 minutes. 0 false readings. Officers signed a field directive authorizing immediate adoption. Harland's memo was overridden, and Becker's success became official in the only language the battlefield respected. Only later did Becker learn how far his method traveled, spreading through divisions, entering post-war manuals, influencing clearance doctrine for decades. Museums, archives, and training courses now preserve his battered bucket. And on Omaha's shifting sands, where death once waited beneath every step, his impossible idea still echoes. Proof that one fragile insight can alter the fate of thousands. If this hidden chapter of Omaha Beach opened a new perspective for you, tell me where you're watching from.